thought I'd share a quick video here with some notes on an aerated compost tea system. This is just freshly set up a few days ago, and I thought I'd break down how we set this up, how we use it, so that folks can make really rich compost tea for their gardens if they want to without much cost. So stick around. So you can see right here we're in the shade of a big old apple tree. Boom, very nice there in the yard. And to the south of us is the main garden where we would want lots and lots of compost tea. We thought we'd set up the compost tea bubbler in the shade, in part because we're not doing that much else in here, and also to allow it to mellow and do its thing without getting overheated. And in this case we just used an old plastic agricultural product, Rubbermaid agricultural products. Probably be nicer maybe with galvanized steel, or I don't know, something, stainless steel tank, but this is what we had laying around. 25 gallon, 50 gallon maybe, and made a divider. So we've got this mesh. This could be chicken wire, this could be 1/4 inch hardware, it could be whatever. I just cut it to be a little taller than the whole thing and to go down to the bottom, and so that on one side we can be actively bubbling, and this bubbling is done by this simple unit. I don't think it even needs to come into focus for me to explain. It's an air bubbler. I got this from a local agway. You know, Lowe's, Home Depot, those sorts of places would have it. Support your local business if you can. This one has 2 leads coming out. I think this draws 3.5 watts, which is pretty remarkably low. And that just has a line that goes back into the garage. And so these are 2 little air tubes that go under some pieces of tile, because this is we use this for foot traffic and for wheelbarrows. And then those tubes go up and in. Very, very simple way to keep them at the bottom is to use a little bit of wire wrapped around a stone and wrapped around the tube. There you go. You got an anchor. So I can move those around as needed. And into this thing we have a whole pile of chopped stinging nettles with their stems. There's chopped up comfrey. I threw in a zola, that's that green floater that's on top. There is some finished compost, there's some rotted wood chips with wine cap mushroom, a little dash of azomite for minerals, and at some point I'm going to add a little blackstrap molasses in here to really sweeten it up and give the microbes lots more to drink. And so all of this rough debris can go on one side, and then for delivery in the garden we use junky old watering cans. I just use pruning shears to snip off the end. Now I can simply dip in, and on this side there's less debris. The azola comes with it, but as soon as the azola sits on dry soil it dies, so I don't have to worry about it spreading or going places I don't want it. Now we can bring it out and water everything with incredibly rich aerobic homemade compost tea with a 3.5 watt bubbler. So these are going to be squashed to be transplanted out to a field, so they're getting some real TLC in their pots. So it's no longer this kind of fancy luxury to have compost tea. We can use it every time we water if we want. And you can see with that sawed-off style, it pours very quickly, and if there's leaves and chunks and rotten wood chips or a stem, it'll pass right on through. So for potted plants or plants in disarray, I've been recently watering these chestnuts with it. They're loving it. Everybody's turning nice and glossy. So we're going to plan to start watering everything in the garden with compost tea until they tap out and say, no more, I'm too lusciously overfed, quit it. And then we'll stop making it. But the air pump, it's about 30 bucks. The air tubing, about $5. This tank a friend gave me. That screen I found. So for less than 40 bucks, you're doing great. You don't need the bubblers. It just makes a little bit of a healthier fluid. You can just let it sit. It just smells more. This still smells. But once it's on the ground, it works well. And there you go. Very, very simple DIY compost tea based off rainwater and 1 or 2 parts. And again, I have next to it just a metal tank where I put just straight rainwater, so that we have the option of making 100% compost tea water, 50% with rainwater, or pure rainwater. So each time we go to water, we can choose what the ratios are, and over time we'll build an empirical sense of what makes the most sense. So maybe that's useful for folks. Oh, and then these screens found on the side of the road I can use to stir and also sieve out little bits. And then when we want to put fresh stuff in, we can get all this out, send it to the chickens, put it in their normal compost, and start fresh. There you go. Bubbling, murky, foul-smelling water for the garden. Thanks for watching.